Judicial warrant. Do you have a judicial warrant? Keep going. Do you have a judicial warrant? Can I see the judicial warrant? Can I see the warrant? I will let go when you show me the judicial warrant. Where is it? Where is the warrant? I have my hand here.
You obstructed. You obstructed.
I would like to let go. I'll let go. I take to see the warrant.
Put him in custody. No! Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Step back. Step back.
You don't have authority. You don't have authority to arrest U.S. citizens.
Sir.
You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. You don't have to. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant. By asking for a judicial warrant? You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens asking for a judicial warrant.
Stay back, please. Stay back. Stay back. No, ma'am. For your own safety. For your own safety.
Can't believe you're arresting.
Where are you taking him? Hello?
Hi,
You have no authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Where are you taking me? And with what authority?
I'd be embarrassed too.
Why are you arresting
And with what authority?
And where are you taking him?
Step back, guys. Step back, please.
Security detail. Number one is going to go with him, all right? Hang on, please, number one. Hold on.
Another day means another political opponent arrested by an increasingly unhinged, fascistic Trump administration. Here, New York City Comptroller Brad Lander was the latest target to get arrested by ICE agents for the apparent crime of asking to see a judicial warrant. This comes as Trump continues to ramp up deportations in an effort to train the attention away from the rest of his failing agenda. Lander joins Alex Padilla, LaMonica McIver, Mayor Baraka, and Judge Jugan, among others, in a growing list of people who the Trump administration views as enemies and have therefore put in handcuffs. And I'm just going to cut right to the chase here. If this was happening in a different country, we would not hesitate for a single second to call it for what it is. This is autocracy. This is authoritarianism. This is what it looks like when a dictator views himself as all-powerful and seeks to quash any dissent. For years, Republicans would rail against communist leaders like President Xi, but it's not because they hate Xi, it's because they were jealous of him. They wanted someone to wield total power like a cudgel against their opponents, like what happens in China or Russia or North Korea, and that's what they're getting with Donald Trump. Their very own communist leader, courtesy of the purported anti-communist Republicans. I asked Alex Padilla about that exact phenomenon after our interview just a few days ago, after he himself had been put in handcuffs. Here's what he had to say. You are the latest in a long line of either Democratic officials or just officials who are doing their jobs. And I'm talking about, we had a Democratic lawmaker, we had a staffer for Jerry Nadler, a judge in Wisconsin, the mayor of Newark, all of whom have been either targeted or arrested by this administration. And so can I have your reaction to the increasingly autocratic tendencies of an administration that, let's be honest, if we saw this stuff happening in any other country in the world, we wouldn't think twice before calling it out for exactly what it is?
It's look, all the signs of an increasingly authoritarian form of government. It's a classic Donald Trump. So what he wants in an ideal world is for the rest of us to cower, for the rest of us to be silent and let him continue to overreach and abuse his power. That is not the American way. The American way is for righteous people, patriots who believe in our democracy, to stand up, to exercise our First Amendment rights, to speak up and defend our fundamental rights. And so that's what we will continue to do.
The reality is that this will continue to happen because it's not a bug, it is a feature of this administration. The big domineering government, the political violence, the reason that it keeps happening on a loop is because it is a deliberate strategy by this administration to accomplish two things. First, they want to use it to distract you from their unpopular agenda. They're passing a budget bill that is perhaps the most unpopular piece of legislation in modern U.S. history, and don't take my word for it.
I'm really surprised when I look at polling data. I look at it every day. But the amount of disapproval for this bill, holy cow, my goodness gracious. And, you mentioned the KFF poll. We're talking about 29 points underwater on the net favorable rating. But that matches the Quinnipiac University poll from last week, when it was 26 points underwater. Oh my God, you need Greg Louganis to get that far underwater. And I mean, we're talking about a negative 41 net favorability rating among independents in the center of the electorate. You rarely ever see pieces of legislation or proposed pieces of legislation as unpopular as this. But here you see it in two polls, 26 points underwater and 29 points underwater. No good.
All right, what about the GOP? Because we have seen some pushback from some lawmakers, and we saw that, I don't know, nuclear reaction from Elon Musk about this bill. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, there is a large chunk of the Republican Party that is not in favor of this bill. So this is the GOP with an unfavorable view of this bill. And what we see here is, look at this, 23% are opposed, have an unfavorable rating of the big, beautiful bill. Now, to put that in some perspective, Donald Trump's unfavorable rating with the GOP is 9%. So this is more than double. All of a sudden, you're taking a huge chunk of that MAGA base, of that Republican base that is turned against this bill. It is not just Elon Musk. It is not just Ron Johnson, the Senate Republican from Wisconsin. It is a large chunk of the Republican base, is large, double the percentage that have an unfavorable view of Donald Trump, have an unfavorable view of the big, beautiful bill. And I will note that in the KFF poll, the unfavorable view, get this, 36%. You rarely ever see anything that Donald Trump backs get that high of an unfavorable view among Republicans. But here it is with the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. And there's a very small margin there, so they're going to have to work out these details. Give us some comparison. 2017, we saw a bill that had Trump tax cuts in it. What does the support look like compared to that?
Yeah, you know, that wasn't that popular back in the day. It was a minus 17 net favorable rating. But here, what do we see with the big, beautiful bill on the aggregate? Minus 28 points. So this is far more unpopular than those tax cuts were back in 2017. And remember, Republicans lost the House in 2018. So if this is the big, beautiful bill, it may be a big, beautiful bill for Democrats if it passes, because they'll have a big, beautiful night come midterm night of 2026.
And so clearly, the White House is looking for something, anything, to distract us from that. And so why not go full bore into their best polling issue, which is immigration, which, again, I should note, is not even good. Trump is now underwater even on his strongest issues, but still, relatively speaking, Republicans have always had success on immigration, and so if they need a distraction, and they do, then immigration enforcement is their best bet. But the second reason is that, quite simply, Trump is an autocrat. And autocrats employ the use of violence as a political strategy, as a tool. And so if Trump has the opportunity to do that, then he's going to take it. He wants to quash dissent, and he wants us to see it. He wants to scare his opponents into submission. He wants his critics to feel powerless and afraid. That is why he's going after law firms and media companies and CEOs and universities. He wants to cow them into submission. The more he goes after us, the harder we have to fight back. I don't care where you lie on the political spectrum. If you are against autocracy, if you are against big government, then you have to fight back now while we have the opportunity to do so. Personally, I know that I'm at risk of being targeted by this administration. I don't care. I won't stop doing what I do every single day because I know what's at the end of this road, and momentary caution is not going to leave me or any of us any better off. So if you want to help elevate this channel, please make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe to my friends and co-hosts in the independent media ecosystem who have been relentless in speaking out, like Mark Elias and Glenn Kirshner. This is not the time to bow down to a dictator. It is the time to fight him with everything we've got. You cannot reason with someone who is arresting his political opponents on a daily basis. You can only defeat him. I'll dedicate every moment of my life to making sure that we do exactly that, and I hope everybody watching will join me.